Leadership is a rare commodity, right? And there is this argument which is never closed, where some people say leaders are born and some people say leaders are created. You can sort of groom them. So what are your views? Let me start with Yogesh. You are a leader, and what are your views?
Yeah, first of all, I think great question, because I'll think it from the audience perspective. Maybe there are some wanting to know about it, but most of them have already reached to a stage, I see, that they have already experienced the things. So yeah, that's where the key is. I mean, if I compare with some kind of a sportsman or something, you already, a natural ability you might get. So that might be an edge you would be getting, but as a born talent maybe. But in my experience, I mean, learning, we all discussed about iterative learning. Iterative learning comes with experience. And the other part of it is communication as a key. Communication, we all know we need, when we grow up, we need to speak language. We need to understand the language. We even need to understand to listen to the things. So for that matter, yes, these are to be acquired. The experience dealing with people, the emotional intelligence part requires a lot of attempts, iterative learnings. Sometimes you have to fail, you have to adopt again to the situations and learn from these experiences. So that's what's
so basically what you say is you might have some natural abilities, but over the years you groom them, and there are a lot of things you pick up.
Exactly.
So let me thank you for that. Let me jump to Venkat, young leader. You have a bright future ahead of you. So before I come into Rahul-san, my question to you is, what do you think on this? Leadership skills, how much of it is really natural and how much of it can be acquired and honed?
Some of it definitely is natural, I would say, but I would go by 80-20 principle. Maybe you are born with it 20% time, but if you hone it for the 80% time, you will be a better leader. And one of the things that hit my mind is about a story from the Toyota Way book, where they did a survey of the great leaders of automotive industry. And out of the 5 big companies, GM, Chrysler, Ford, Toyota, and I believe there was Chevrolet at the time, out of the 5 leaders, there was one thing that was particularly different with Toyota. And you know what that was? The CEO was someone who started at the ground level, and they were coached, trained to make up up to the top. And that's something unique. And I feel that was a good example for us to take away, where we can say that if we invest in our team, if we invest to bring in leaders from inside, that would definitely take a big change.
Good, thank you. So Rahul-san, my question jumping to you is, this morning we heard Dr. Raghuvanshi mention repeatedly about integrity being number one when it comes to leadership. So what are your takes on it?
Thank you. For me, when I came here, I was thinking, what was I going to gain out of this? But today, of all the keynote speakers who were there, and it was really enriching, enlightening, and there's every day you learn something. And I think I'm going to go out as a better leader from here today, what I heard. So I actually wrote down what Mr. Raghuvanshi and the other keynote speakers said. And for me, being controversial, I would say that I don't believe leaders are born. They are born the day they can stand up and take up for somebody else. A leader should have empathy and willing to sacrifice. And no other better institute than our armed forces, because that's the way the training goes. It's Naam, Namak, and Nishan. It's your country, the food that you share with your fellow mates, and also is the Nishan is either your company or your platoon. And that's something what Simon Sinek also says about never leave anyone behind. The leader always eats last. So the day you can do these things, I think you become a leader. And we all want to be leaders, we want to stand out, but when the people choose you as a leader, the feeling is completely different. And I think that's, for me, the most important is that where you're willing to sacrifice, as Mr. Prashant said, that the go ahead, do what you want, the blame will be mine. If there's success, it's yours. And if there's a blame, it's Mr. Belapuri. So for me, I believe I'm very proud of our armed forces, so I always look at that. And the second one, which I think we should all look at, I wrote it down today, is about the Taj Mumbai attacks. There is a nice Harvard study done. It's by Rohit Deshpande. It's called The Ordinary Heroes of the Taj Attack. And I can tell you, my hair is standing, and I can tell you, that day when Mumbai attacks happened in Taj, there were 500 employees within Taj, and they knew all the back alleys, they knew all the shortcuts to get out, but nobody got out. They stayed back and they helped their guests. So there was something in the culture and something in the people which makes you stand up for these things. And so that day 500 leaders were born, more than others. I don't know how many else took up the case. So I think the day you are willing to sacrifice for somebody else, you become a leader. And that's something I believe in.
Absolutely, Rahul sir. For those of you who have not seen this YouTube video on the Mumbai Taj Hotel attack, please see it. It is supremely inspiring. And watch it. It's probably 17 minutes. It's a TED Talk, so it's really short. It's extremely powerful, by a Harvard professor, Deshpande. Grover sir, I'm going to jump to you, and I'm going to, a slightly different question. There is position power, and there is...
allow, I have a perspective on this question, last question.
Please.
You know, a lot of what we learn in our life, in corporate life, comes from observation. So when you observe other leaders, that becomes a source of learning. And there are two kinds of learnings you can get. You can learn from some leaders on how to do it and what to do to be a good leader. Equally good learning comes from those other leaders from whom you learn what not to do to be good leaders. I think we combine both these observations and start imbibing them in our own lifetime, our own experiences. That probably is the easiest way to learn leadership.
Absolutely. So observation and picking from both the contrast. Now, my question to you is, we always talk of position power and say personal power, which comes from knowledge, your attitude. What has been, you've been a leader, both in the corporate sector and then as a consultant. What should one really draw? And how do you balance position power and your personal power when you lead?
I think it's a difficult combination. There are certain things for which you cannot lose time. At those stages, like crisis management, where there is no time to lose, you just use your position power. But where you have to change in the long run, you have to change culture, you have to change the direction of the organization. You need to be a people's person. You have to take people along. You have to communicate. You have to be patient enough to take them along and give it time. So I think both are applicable in different situations.
Very good. Thank you. So I'm going to hang on to that point. And leadership, of course, is something, I mean, when you are sitting in the positions, the chairs that you occupy, every day people look up to you, and you're supposed to lead and give direction, etc. But is there a difference? And I want your reflection. Leadership, when you have to drive change, you want to change the direction of the organization, bring a transformation, whether it is implementation of an operational excellence program or launching, a new product, absorbing new technology or something. What is the difference at that case? So leadership when the ship is sailing in smooth waters, and leadership when you have to change direction. Rahul San, what changes?
Actually, we are in a change process at the moment, and I also again take back learnings of incidents, behavior, and consequences. So together with the team, for me, I think it's very important, and as I learned today, was the mission should be bigger than the ambition, and we need to prepare well. Also, it's been smooth running for the last 14 years. And now we have attained something, but now we need to sustain, and that's the most difficult part. And I would say there is no right way or wrong way, but then there is a process we need to follow. We need to have faith in ourselves, faith in our people. And and this is the time when you sometimes need to use your authority or your power to give the direction. And maybe sometimes it's not going the right way, but still you need to have faith in yourself and your team.
Good. So, Yogesh, coming to you, I know you are in a kind of a hot chair, if I can say. You are into this company, it's a new position, and you're ramping up. And very ambitious new lines and product launches are happening. So, in this situation, is there something extra you have to draw as a leader, extra that you have to invest as a leader? What are your reflections?
Yeah, I think first is, I would say, conviction, self-conviction, very importantly. I think this point has also been brought out. But more than that, you have to create a vision. You yourself have to understand and believe in that. And more than that, you have to make sure you are able to share that vision to all. Creating expectations is what is important. I mean, what you feel, what is right, what is not right, has to be clearly expressed to people, and that has to be communicated very well. So I mean, setting the expectations, building up a vision, and making sure you are sharing that vision through a right communication to the team are very, very effective and key things over here. Yeah.
Thank you. And Venkat, you did mention about Murli's visit to the Gemba. So when you are part of driving, the operational excellence program in your company, you're the site leader. What is it that you have observed, when it comes to leadership, that is really important for this transformation program? Any change that you're trying to drive, which is very important. What kind of leadership behavior or direction?
Sure. Let me tell you an incident. August 2024 was when we collaborated with Kaizen Institute, and our consultants were on site. Day one, people had a lot of rumors and thoughts about, maybe this program will be successful, because every year in mega multinational industries, it's a part and parcel that you come up with new initiatives. So they thought this is again something like that. Someone like Murli San had an idea, vision, and tried to do something in the site. But things changed when day one, Gopal San was supposed to kick that session off. He, along with his leadership team, were in the kickoff meeting.
Were in it?
Were in that kickoff meeting at sharp 9:30. Okay. That behavior of leaders being present, being invested, made everyone question, this is something serious. We cannot be lagging behind. And guess what? The entire 5 days, a person like Murli who travels, he has 6 locations that he manages. He was there for the entire 5 days that we had for the kickoff. All the leaders, including mid managers like me, were observing him and all the other leaders. And when we saw them invested completely, if they could take out the time in their busy schedule to attend and invest their time on site, who are we to not? Yeah. So that behavior, actions speak louder, and that exact behavior was demonstrated by our leaders in this change, and everyone was having a different opinion post that session.
Right. So leading by example,
exactly.
You try and practice what you preach. Please.
I just want to add to that, actually, and when I also said like creating a kind of vision and shared need, the other important thing has to be that, as you said, drastic changes, right? When you have shorter time, you have drastic changes to do. What is more important to actually have some compelling reasons to change. So you either take a data approach, you pull out the data, show it through the data. By data, you will be able to convince more to people that this is where we stand. This is where we need to have our journey. These are the areas where we need to push. This is what I have experienced in the team dealing. That data-driven approach always helps to convince people the best. And the second part of it, maybe some places you don't have the data, you need to go by more of a demonstration. So there you have to benchmark. I have in fact taken my teams to places at other places where the team is leading and best performing. So wherever there is an opportunity of benchmarking, you straight away introduce that to the team for them to understand it in an easier way. And if both is not possible, as he said, use the authority and demand.
Very good. So I'm going to first, next question, I'm going to ask for a one-word reaction, and then I'll come to you why you picked that word as a reaction. So I'll start with Rahul San. What do you tend to lean more when you have to drive change or, to lead change? Focusing on people or processes? Pick one. People. Venkat.
Processes.
Grover San. Process. Yogesh San.
People.
Okay, so now you need to defend. To tell me, because we have 4 different answers, so probably I'll start with Rahul San. Please defend. Give him the mic. Yeah.
Yes, sorry. As Yogesh said, you have to convince them with data why we need to improve the processes. So I need my team to also believe why we need to do this special change or this change process. So for me, it means there's no right or wrong on people or process. And if it is process, I'm willing to do that. But through my whole journey, it's always been people. I've been able to work together and achieve things together with people. So I always tend to lean more towards how I can convince people.
Grover San, you're leaning to process.
So once I know which process is to improve, I'll select the right people. So people will follow the process rather than the other way around.
Venkat?
If processes are built in right, there is less chances for people to fail. So that's why I would say processes would go first.
Yogesh San?
See, you have best processes, but zero acceptance. End result will be zero.
Okay, very nice. Very interesting. So,
I have learned this hard way, and I have also practiced this now. That I believe it's a product of the quality of the idea or the strategy you are saying, and the product of it with the acceptance. If the acceptance is anything, even if it is 0.8, let's say, but if your idea cannot be zero suddenly, but the acceptance could be zero very easily.
So what do you think the audience? So people or process? How many for people? Okay, process.
How we can shift.
Process seems a little less raise of hands, people. But let me tell you, in this world of AI and all that is, we at least we are listening through, what's happening. Looks like the role of people is going to be questioned. That's the kind of feeling that we get. Everything will be taken over by robotic process automation, blah blah blah. But very happy to see the raise of hands in people. So I'm going to jump in. There is this very important statement we always keep listening. We grow up on this, and that is practice what you preach, right? And it is quite easy. As a parent, you can't be smoking and telling your 18-year-old son, blowing smoke on his face, but don't smoke, right? It's not going to work. You don't have to go to Harvard to understand this. So a बहुत बढ़िया, beautiful statement, practice what you preach. But how are you living this, in your organization? As a leader, how do you practice this? Can you give us some examples from your own, own leadership journey? Venkat, you can?
Yeah, I'll start. How many people think that all we do is meetings and no work? How many people think that?
Meetings and no work.
Meetings and no work.
I used to think like that, but...
So what I would like to say here is we also have this disease of हमारे पास तो meeting करने का time नहीं है, काम कब करें? And being a lean and Kaizen preacher in the organization, I demonstrated myself using leader standard work that available to answer questions of people. I am able to go to Gamba, where the work is happening, and I am able to take meetings with the same effectiveness and with the same due diligence that others do. And this is not just limited to me. Again, going back to our leaders in Johnson & Johnson, you would think someone like the panelists here would have a lot of meetings and are busy with their schedules. But here in Johnson & Johnson, you will see our Murli sir, you will find his calendar open. How often that happens? A leader of that level. And I believe leaders here as well have the same experience. If you do your standard work, if you do make sure you know what you are supposed to do, you are ready for that adversities, you are ready to take that hit, and you have the bandwidth to support your business above and beyond.
Good. Grover-san,
Practice what you preach is what you said. Actually, that's the only way to lead, because it all starts with values. And in our organization, we serve clients Monday to Friday, and we manage ourselves on Saturdays. On Saturdays, we have our different meetings, and all our meetings start with reading out the values. I want to be conscious every time that whatever I am doing does not conflict with any of my 5 values. Everything that we do, we test out against those values. There are certain daily practices that we want our team members to follow. Now, some of you might have visited our office. There is a standard time when we get up and do a 5S in our office. The music starts and the music ends. And I'm the first, if I'm in the office, I'm part of the team that's doing it. So if I want certain kind of behaviors, unless I demonstrate it myself, I don't think I have the right to expect it from others. So it's not just true for this. When I want people in the COVID period, after the COVID ended, we again started traveling. So I didn't want to tell people to start traveling. I started with myself. I made a first visit to Angola, and at that time, in Bombay International Airport, there were only 5 flights in a day. So after I did it, after that, if I tell somebody, I have the right to do it. So that's the way you manage yourself, and that's the way you lead others.
thank you. So Rahul-san, so what is your take? How do you leaders, practice what you preach?
I take something from what you said in the morning when I can't pronounce his name.
Masaki Mai?
Masaki Mai.
Yeah.
Went and checked the toilets.
Yeah.
It should be the same for everyone. The food that you eat should be there. The plate, the place. I think the culture that you build, and if they see the leadership team doing the same thing, picking up their plates, putting it back, using the same loos, going for gembas, going to the operators' washrooms, looking at the uniforms, the change rooms, there is no difference. Of course, you can always say that the salary difference is there, but that's where I'm saying on the basic amenities and respect that they expect. If we are able to do that, I think they trust you. And once they trust you, I think that goes a long way. Because what we try to do for the last 14 years in our organization is to be fair and to provide what is basic necessity, what we would like to see in our homes, and for our guests, we'd like to do it for our people, and that's what the values that we live in.
Yogesh-san, how have you been practicing?
Yes, I think this is a day in day out process. I mean, it is a very hard working process. It's in your blood. It cannot come artificially, or it cannot be a 1 day, 2 day kind of an event. So again, I go with him. It's like it's your values. You have to deeply believe in these values very well. Then only it comes into you. And then only you have the ability to be able to tell it to somebody that yes, you follow that. So sincerely, you must be doing that. And I do believe in what values I mention. I make sure that they are really in me, and I am inculcating and practicing them. Second part of it is, and just as an example, I keep talking to my team and I say, the say-do ratio is very, very important. Just as an example, I'm telling you. So do what you are, say what you are going to do and do exactly what you have said. And if you're not able to do that, you always have the way to reiterate onto that. It's not like it's a line on a black stone kind of a thing. So yes, it's a deeper value that you have to believe in and do it. And second part of it is not just about doing it and saying it and then believing in it. The other part of also is you be conscious onto it that it is perceived as well by others in the right way. You have to, as a leader, I think that's more important, that other than, just than that doing it, how others perceive it in the right way also, you need to think about and take that responsibility on yourself.
Great. So I'm going to jump into something a little negative, if I can use the word. All of us remember great leaders, people who influenced our life. Please take a few seconds to think of some horrific leadership style or leadership, somebody that was leading you, which you will probably never like to emulate, or it's a complete no-no. Anything that you remember from your career? Anybody who wants to go first? I know I'm catching you.
No, I can.
Yeah, please.
Please do.
Yeah, I have, in fact, I don't know, unfortunately, I have come across that kind of situations multiple times.
Thank you for being truthful,
and may not be with me, but it has always been with my team members. Somebody behaving in that way, and I'm not able to tolerate that. So, to your question, yes, that's where your natural style comes in.
Was it something to do with integrity or?
It's more about behavior. It's more about behavior and giving the respect and dignity to a person as a person.
Yeah. Rahul, sir?
So I think that's what they say. People leave not their job but their bosses. And with my experience, what I've had of both, I would say that I learned from both, but also from the ones that were not my role model. I learned what I don't want to be and how I don't want to treat the people who work together with me. And I also have my senior leadership team over here, so I can also tell them now on the mic so they all can hear, is that you should treat your people the way I treat you.
Yeah.
And they do.
Very good. Venkat?
Unfortunately, everyone, I believe, comes across such situations. But for me also, what I learned from such leaders was what not to do. I had a team of 30 at some point in my career, and when I was a new joinee, I knew what things might not be liked by my team. So just like we say in 5S in methodology as well, leave the workplace the way you would leave, you would want for yourself. Similarly, I would also think that the lesson that I learned is in leadership, make sure you lead the people in the way you want to be led. So that's what I would say.
Yes, Grover-san, I'm sure you can draw from many experiences.
Well, there are there was, in the younger days, we used to play all kind of games. So the different styles of management that we would observe in our organizations, so a group of youngsters would give it a different set of names. I remember one set of names was bark and run style of leadership.
Bark and run.
Bark and run style of leadership. And I also remember what we used to do is, and this is naughty, nameplates, those tent cards.
Yeah.
We would make tent cards with this name, with the name of that leader, and put them in the urinal.
In the
urinal.
It's not a bad idea.
Good. So that's very interesting. We were recently in December, we were celebrating 25 years of Kaizen Institute. The entire team, 90 of us, met in Nashik for a week. And we used to have games every day just to break the routine. And one of the game was a dart game, and the groups, who will score more. Then somebody said that if you put your boss's photograph in the center, the scores will go up. So maybe that's a good way to, focus. I'm just, very quickly opening up some questions from the audience. But while I was talking and getting your reflections on people and process, I'm very tempted to share, and then I would be happy if you can comment. Very famous, I'm sure you must have heard of it, where the president of Toyota was asked, why is Toyota more profitable or doing better when many of the American companies are struggling? And this is when Toyota had reached its pinnacle. They were selling more than Chrysler, Ford, GM, etc. And the Japanese president thought for a time and said, oh, and then he said, what I have noticed is in Toyota, we hire ordinary people, we give them extraordinary processes, and they generate extraordinary results. This is the Toyota way. Ordinary people, extraordinary process they follow, and they give you extraordinary results. And he says, what I observed that my competitors are doing is they hire extraordinary people from Harvard and Stanford and MIT, probably pay them extraordinary money, and they run or use broken processes to deliver completely bad results. So I think there is a tremendous, answer to this question, people or process there. And anything that you would like to add or reflect to this famous comment from Toyota? No? Okay. Yeah.
So again, going back to Johnson & Johnson, we are a medtech company. And regulatory bodies are always on top of us. And as Prashant Sharma sir was already also mentioning, that compliance is critical. We have to make sure we are always compliant. So every time, again, if you look at the process, we fill out batch cards. And anytime a batch card is not filled and goes to the next step, we kind of generate an NC. So the question here is, if a person is repeatedly missing to do something, is it the person or is it the process that is allowing them to do it? So I totally agree with what it was mentioned I think it was mentioned in the Toyota Waybook itself.
Yes.
Is if you get ordinary people and if you have an extraordinary process, you will be having good results. And I would say that's exactly what we see in medical industry as well.
I think we are barking on a slightly difficult path. I think it's somebody was to ask you a question, which is better, head or tail in a coin? Which side is better? Head is better or tail is better? Is there a good answer? Actually, both taken together
Make a
are
coin.
necessary for excellence. I think it is true for process and people. So we shouldn't ask a question process or people, it should be both.
Thank you. So that's a very clear message for me. I'll just move to the last 2 or 3 quick questions, and I want very quick answers to this. All of you, including Kaizen Institute, you're all part of foreign organizations, non-Indian organizations. So what is how does your foreign leadership look at India and the prospects? What is the foreign leadership's view on what's happening in India?
I can start. So Datweiler is 1915 was the date it was born. And we are all over the world. We're a stock listed company. But every plant was an acquisition. After 100 years, they decided to put up a new plant, greenfield, in India. And the problems that we went through at the beginning, because you always have the teething problems, the red tape and everything, they had lost hope. But the resilience of us Indian people to overcome challenges is unbelievable. Today, our plant is by value number 2 and by volume number 1. And in operational excellence, we like to call ourselves the benchmark plant. And if you see my team, none of us, we are all ordinary people. We don't stand out. We reached from 2011, from zero to into 2024 with us 1,000 crores. So I think we are ordinary people who did some extraordinary things. So I want to thank the team what they did.
Yeah, and I would definitely give a big shout out to Amit Renuse is here, probably is there. I don't know if you raise your hand. Amit San was, he's there. Okay, so Amit was the site operational excellence leader, right, sir? Please correct me if I'm wrong. And the implementation and adoption of Kaizen that happened in Detweiler, India, resulted in it being recognized as the best plant in terms of operational excellence, and now he's the global OE lead, right? So that is very interesting. Any other comments? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think I see that for India, I mean, there is a great amount of trust that has been developed. They see us as fully compliant. They have no second thought in terms of our focus on compliance of the processes, rigor on the processes, a data-driven approach, and decisiveness that we all have developed as, and the leadership capabilities as well. I believe that's really a good amount of trust and confidence that we have been able to build as Indians.
Yes.
Where we need to improve, I keep saying that and giving this message to my team is say-do ratio. Please increase your say-do ratio. What you say, keep doing. If you're not able to do, make sure you get back onto that yes, this is where I need some time. This is where I'm failing probably. So early on, these are some of the things which...
new concept, say-do ratio. Say-do ratio. Thank you very much for that. Quick reaction from you.
For our side, Johnson & Johnson, we are right now the hub for innovation, if you have to look it that way in our network. In last 1 year, I am very proud to say that we have completed a zero-based budgeting exercise, which is a costing model. Now we are into Kaizen journey, and we are coming up with a smart factory journey as well in future. And what this did to the global network, you might already know, Jay and San, we are already in discussions to deploy this across Johnson & Johnson, and that's huge. And that was because, Indians are willing to change, accept, and move on. And that trust, that faith that our site was able to demonstrate to the leadership in the entire fraternity was something that we made an impression for.
Thank you. Kuro-san, I have a request. Can you reflect on the last slide mentioned by the Japanese sensei last week when he summed up various countries?
Well, there were 4 sentences, if I remember. There was a question asked. We were in Japan last week, and we were trying to go back to the roots of where these methodologies were born. We were talking to those senseis and gurus who were part of this change while they were in Toyota working with Taichi Onos and other gurus of the world. And we were also going to those companies that have been doing this for all those 50 odd years. Now, this gentleman was sharing some of his experiences with us, and a question was asked, how would you compare, he traveled the world, how would you compare what is happening around the world? So I may remember some of it, you'll remember some of it. So he started with saying Japan is on the decline.
Japan
is on the decline.
Japan is on the decline. This is a Japanese sensei his confession, yeah.
He says we are no longer able to catch up, and he showed a visual. We are on the decline. Then he talked about China. And he said China is contributing some new innovations to the world.
New values being created, yeah.
He's creating, Japanese are creating some new value for the world. And then he came to India, said India is focusing a lot on quality. It's a matter of time before India catches up and goes beyond Japan. India will overtake Japan, and he was not referring to GDP, he was referring to quality. Then he talked about US. About US, he said they are in
Chaos.
a chaos, which I think is fair to say today. And for Europe, I forget. You can.
For Europe, he said they're too focused on ISO 9000. And they're missing out everything else. So that was a beautiful slide from a Japanese sensei who worked very closely, 42 years in Toyota with Taiichi Ohno, and very powerful statement. So we'll close up by quick two questions. What is the book that you're reading currently? Any book that you read recently or anything that you're reading now?
I finished Habit, but now I'm reading Karna. Sorry, I finished The Power of Habit. Now I'm reading Karna, Son of Surya.
Karna, Son of Surya. Venkat?
Just recently finished reading Extreme Ownership.
Extreme Ownership.
Yeah, it's a book by two SEAL officers in US, and it talks about how in every action or in every result there is some contribution to your action. So if you change your action, there will be a different result.
Grover-san, I know you always have at least 2 books in your bag. What are you reading?
I'm reading a very difficult book these days, difficult reading. It's called Anti-Fragile by Nicholas Taleb. All of us understand fragile. Something you hit and it'll break. He says there is no word which describes the opposite of it. He says there are a lot of phenomena in which you try to damage them, they become stronger. And the whole book is about explaining many of these phenomena. And they come from finance, they come from medicine. For example, when you inject a microbe as a vaccine, it instead of damaging your body, it kind of makes it anti-fragile, stronger. So those are the concepts he talks about. Very difficult read.
Yogesh-san?
I finished reading The One Thing. Basically, it talks about, as a whole, focus on one particular thing, which is like a missing link in any of the scenario that you see. And if you focus on that one thing, you are done with
Phenomenal.
all the
So my
things.
last question is, all of us as leaders I'm told, are also foodies. So what's your favorite cuisine, Rahul-san? Bengali?
So I'm not an engineer. I actually trained to be a chef.
Oh,
So I
wow.
used to work in the hotel industry. That's why my size, I like all cuisines. I'm a Bengali married to a Parsi, so anything that has got meat and fish is good for me.
Meat and fish. Okay. Venkat?
Anything that is spicy, doesn't matter which cuisine. I just love spicy food.
You are from Andhra?
Born in Andhra, brought up in Maharashtra. So
We can understand. No problem. Grover-san?
Well, my favorite food changes with my location. Depends on where I am in the world. That week, the favorite food is local food.
Thank you. And Yogesh-san?
So do I. I mean, South Indian as well as I like Maharashtrian as well.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Give them a round of applause. We have a few minutes. If there is absolutely a question that you would like to ask them or challenge them, please feel free. Otherwise, we can take, we can move on to the last section of the evening, that is bringing in the judges, and they will announce the award winners of the case study presentation. Any questions in the meantime while I ask my Kaizen colleagues, are we ready for getting into the next session? Gopal-san, we are ready? Okay, good. Any questions or comments or anything that you would like to reflect, as you're all leaders. I mean, you're also leading teams and delivering fantastic impact. We have 57 companies represented here from Africa, from India, from UAE. Anything that comes to your mind in terms of leadership, please feel free while we take 5 minutes to change over. Or any question. Yes, ma'am. Can you please give first of all, this morning, thank you, ma'am. While having lunch, what struck me is we have such a small representation of ladies in this. It's very, very shameful, right? So is the operational excellence community dominated by men? I don't understand what is the reason, but thank you, ma'am. I mean, you're here. I only see few ladies. Can you give her a mic? Yeah, the mic. No, but others can't hear you. So. Yeah, no, mil gaya. Okay.
So my question is like, where do you want to see operational excellence in next 5 years? Because I have seen the operational excellence started with basic TPMs, not basic finders. TPM, operational excellence, business excellence, and going forward, taking a loop of digital transformation in terms of AI. So put together, if I try to understand or have a right clarity for my future in next 5 years, then what this? I think this question is not for me, and I
Very,
think
very
this
nice,
can come
very
for
relevant.
others. So
Thank
that's
you.
the question.
Over to the panelist.
Good to answer.
No, we're not going to answer.
Well, I don't think anybody has the right answers. The future will evolve. But I feel irrespective of whether we use ESG or whether we use artificial intelligence without having first eliminated natural stupidity, whatever technology, whether we use robotics or anything else, will always be focused towards serving some customers, which will be human beings. Also, it will be run by human beings. So I always feel that as long as human beings are running any system, there will always be a need for culture. And excellence is always defined via culture. If you don't have the right culture, you can never be an excellent company, at least not in sustainable way. So as long as there is human intervention in any organization, to run the organization, culture will be required. As long as culture is required, some kind of improvement orientation will always be required. And to that extent, things like the word excellence, which is neutral, the word Kaizen, which is neutral, in some form or the other, they will always exist.
Yeah, having said that, I totally agree with you, sir. It's very difficult to, in today's world, predict the future. We just heard Prashant talk about a complete light-out factory where there will be no human intervention. So you from the time you dispense all the way till the primary pack, secondary pack, and cartons will come out. Probably even it'll do the stuffing into the container. So maybe we will just become consumers of medicines, more medicines because of all the stress. Maybe, I don't know. So difficult, but I think it's time up. So we need to close there. Thank you so much. And I would request Dr. Sarita Nagpal to please come and hand over a memento to our three panelists, and nothing for Mr. Grover for joining us. And as Dr. Sarita Nagpal walks in, it's my absolute pleasure to introduce this lady. Dr. Sarita Nagpal is a PhD in microelectronics, in computer chips. And she was the second lady. I mean, she was the number 2 in CII in India for many, many years. She received the citation from the Emperor of Japan for bringing TPM into India, TQM into India, and she is the first Indian ISO lead auditor trained 25 years ago or 30 years ago. She was the first lady from India. Not the first lady, the first Indian to be certified in UK. She came back and she contributed to the ISO movement in India. Dr. Sarita Nagpal, a round of applause. So I request you to please hand over a memento in gratitude. To Rahul San, please step forward. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. It's an honor to take it.
Yeah, Yogesh San, thank you very much for your time. Venkat San, thank you. And let's all come together for a group photo. one together.
Up to the center.